So today I'm going to talk about how to use the terminal. The terminal is one of the most important features you can learn about when you're trying to become a programmer. That's because the terminal is really like the difference between automatic transmission and manual transmission. If you want to be a race car driver, you've got to learn how to use manual transmission. And basically, uh, using Bash, using the terminal, is the same concept. A truly great programmer is going to be very comfortable manipulating files, running programs from the command line. And usually, if we're learning Python, we'll be running most of our Python programs from the command line anyways. So it's very important that we understand at least the basics of it so that we can open files, manipulate files. And once you get to the point where you're deploying to servers in the cloud, for example, if you're building and hosting your own website, you're going to only be able to do that through the command line and through something called SSH. So, with that being said, let's just jump into it. It's a lot less complicated than it seems, and there is a reason that we're still using terminals, which started from the very earliest computers, really, in our everyday life. So, let's jump in. The way that you open up the terminal in macOS, if you hold down Command and press space and type in TER, you're going to see it pops up with the terminal. If you just hit enter, you don't have to type the whole thing out if it finds it for you. You'll get this window here that you see, and there's a few things to notice about it. It's just very bland, has a window, and then it has text and nothing else in it. So if we type in ls and hit enter, what we're going to get back is a list of all of the files and directories in our current location. So if I open period, that's going to open up the current directory. Period is an alias in Bash for the current directory. So if I hit open period, my macOS Finder is going to pop up in my current directory. This directory that's open by default in terminal is called your home directory. And so if I type in pwd or print working directory, it's going to show me exactly where I am on my machine. So one thing to notice about the results from pwd is that it starts with this / users / make art with Python. So the / directory at the base level is called the root directory. So this is the most basic directory that exists on macOS and all Unix systems. So if I type in ls here, I'm going to see the most top level directories. There's nothing above this directory as far as the operating system is concerned. So if we were to go back to that directory that we came from, if we wanted to get back to our home directory, we can just type in cd and then hit enter. Now, I already said how period is an alias for the current working directory. So another alias for the home directory is this tilde. So if I do cd tilde, I'm going to get put back into the same directory. And one other thing to note is that when I'm in my home directory, this little name over here changes to the tilde. So if I wanted to see the directories here, let's say that I wanted to make a new directory, and let's call it bash, terminal lesson. And if I open here, right, I'm going to see my new terminal lesson directory, and there's nothing in it. So if we go into terminal lesson, and the way that we change directories into that terminal lesson is we don't need to put that / there. Let's do that again because that was too fast. cd space ter, and then I'm going to press the tab button, and watch what happens when I press tab. It finishes it for me. So tab is very important in the terminal and in Bash. And I keep saying the terminal and Bash. They're really kind of interchangeable. Terminal is this program right here that you see visually. And then the Bash program is everything that's interacting with what we type in. So it's the actual thing running behind the scenes in here. And so Bash will run both on our local computer and on a remote computer, and that's how we can talk to computers in the cloud generally. So if we ls inside of there, we can see that there's nothing in here. So if we wanted to create a new file, create a new empty file in this directory, we can touch new file.txt. So this is going to create a new file.txt. So if we ls, we can see that our new file is there. And if we open this directory, and we got to put that period as that alias for our current directory, you'll see we have this new file. And if we open it up, there's nothing in it at all. Another way we can open up, here, let's clear the screen since it got kind of messed up because I didn't put that period after the end of the open. So you clear, again the command is just clear, enter, and that clears the entire screen so you can kind of get visually clear view of what's going on. So let's type in ls. So now we have this new file. One of the ways we can edit this file without having to open up that new file, again if we do open new file, it'll open up that file directly in macOS. But if we were on a server and we didn't have access to any GUIs, we would just do something like nano new file.txt. And so nano is just a really simple editor that works within terminals. So if you're on a server anywhere, you'll generally be able to have access to nano. So let's type something in here, hello world. And then the way that we save the file is we hold down the control button and press O. That's going to ask us what the name to write the file to. Hit enter. And then to exit, we hold down control and hit X. So if we open that new file again, you'll see that it says hello world. And so I want to just mention this really quickly. A lot of the quick manipulation comes from pressing other buttons. So when I press up, the arrow key on my keyboard, it's going to go through the last commands that I typed in. So this is a great way to do things over and over pretty quickly. So now we've created a new file, created a new directory, we viewed a file. We can also pipe or send our files from one program to another. So there's this cat program. And so cat is a program that just takes in whatever's in a file and spits it back out. So if we cat hello world, it's going to say hello world. So this output, we can send it to a new file. Let's cat new file and let's call it hello world.txt. So if we type in ls, we'll see we have this hello world.txt. So if we cat hello world, and I'm pressing cat tab hello world, enter, it's going to have the exact same thing. So this bracket here lets us pipe out, and this is where that manipulation comes from, lets us take the output of one file and put it into a new file. So I think that's it for now. That's a pretty good very first intro to Bash. I'll get into a little bit more in a second part about some of the more advanced features of Bash, like searching, connecting to servers.